We're going to go through all of the AFL international matches that have ever been played. Now, the last game that was played internationally, apart from the obvious New Zealand and China games, was in 2012, where the Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide had a match at the Oval in London. If your team has ever played internationally for an exhibition match or for premiership points, let me know in the comments down below. Now, lesser known, in 2010, Melbourne and Brisbane had a match at the Zhongwan Stadium in Shanghai, which is obviously now used for Port Adelaide, St Kilda and Gold Coast games. That was back in 2010. There were two exhibition matches played in 2008, the first one in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, where in a NAB Cup game, Collingwood and Adelaide had a matchup. And also in 2008, there was a match between Carlton and Fremantle at the Super Sport Park in South Africa. In 2006, there were two more games at the Oval in London. There was a matchup between Geelong and Port Adelaide. And also in LA, there was a game between North Melbourne and Sydney. In 2005, there was a really interesting match, once again at the Oval in London. It was a game between West Coast and Fremantle, and there are some interesting reports about this game. This Fremantle-West Coast game has no match footage of it. There was only one picture taken. It was this picture on screen right here. Literally nothing else was broadcasted or seen of this game apart from the people at the ground. There was a crowd of 19,000 and the Dockers won by 17 points. Both teams rang out a full strength lineup as well. Now, I'm going to take this article here from perthnow.com.au. I'm going to read this out to you. West Coast coach John Worsfold and members of the team's coaching staff stormed into the Fremantle box to protest against what they saw as over-the-top aggression from some of the Freo players. Fremantle youngster Ryan Crowley, who would go on to forge a reputation as one of the most AFL's annoying taggers, was at the centre of the roster. Dockers great Paul Hazelby later described the day as pivotal in shaping the Derby rivalry and believed some individual hatreds on both sides had emerged from the London game. So out of all places, the rivalry for some of the players and that team in particular, that mid-2000s team, was at the Oval in London. Apparently there were some really aggressive melees in the third quarter. In the 3 years prior, there were two more games held in London between Collingwood and Fremantle and Richmond and Essendon. In 2001, there was a game between Brisbane and Adelaide in Wellington. Now, there are about actually 25 other games held at the Oval prior to this point, so I'm not going to go through any more of the games there, considering it would just get a bit repetitive. In 1998 in Wellington, Melbourne and Sydney had a game in the pre-season cup at the Newlands Cricket Ground in Cape Town, the ground that sparked one of Australia's cricket's biggest controversies. In 1998, Brisbane and Fremantle had a match there. In 1991 in Auckland, there was a game between Geelong and St Kilda. There was a game in 1990 at Civic Stadium in Portland, USA between Melbourne and West Coast, which attracted a crowd of just under 15,000. There was a game in 1989 at the Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami between Essendon and Hawthorn, as well in 1989 a game in Toronto, Canada at the Toronto Skydome, where Geelong and Melbourne took clash. There was another game in Toronto the year before between Collingwood and Hawthorn. The year before that, another game in Miami. And the year before that, a game in Yokohama, Japan, between Hawthorn and Essendon. In 1987 as well, there was a game in Vancouver, Canada, between Melbourne and North Melbourne. While in 1976, this is a really interesting game, in Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea, there was a game between the Papua New Guinea national team and North Melbourne. Now, North Melbourne in 1976 were the VFL premiers, so the premiers of the VFL taking on quite a mediocre, I would say, Papua New Guinea side. That Papua New Guinea team was coached by the one and only Ron Barassi. North Melbourne ended up winning that game 120-76. In 1972, there were three games held. There was one, obviously, in London, like there has been pretty much every year. It was actually a tour series, so it started off in Singapore with Carlton versus the All-Stars, then went to Athens in Greece for Carlton versus the All-Stars, and the third game was at the Oval in London, and you guessed it, Carlton versus the All-Stars. In 1969, there was another game in Papua New Guinea between Papua New Guinea again and St Kilda. In 1969, there was a waffle practice match in New Delhi between East Perth and Subiaco, which is quite interesting. In 1967, there was a game at the Crystal Palace National Sports Centre between Australia and Britain in an Australian World Football Tour, which is, I don't even know what that is. the Brigham National AFL team? What is that? We've got guys like Ron Barassi, Bob Skilton, and Royce Hart playing for you. Alex Jezelenko as well. And the Crystal Palace National Sports Centre is now used by Cregan FC, who play non-league football in England. And in 1963 was the first year that was recorded to have international games of AFL football, AFL/VFL football played. Geelong and Melbourne both playing at a game in San Francisco and Honolulu. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. It means the absolute world. If you want to support that channel a little bit extra, you can hit the big blue join button next to the subscribe button to become a channel member. And comment down below which game here were you most surprised about. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.